TGR. Amiibo are cool. Honestly, they're pretty awesome. My son and I, we go to Target or Best Buy and we go ahead and we see an Amiibo that we like, and if it's not super expensive, we'll buy it. It adds sort of this layer of interactivity with whatever game it is that you're playing, and you get a cool figurine on top of that that you can add to your collection. In the grand scheme of things, I've never seen an Amiibo as a must-have. I've always seen it as kind of a nice-to-have. This is something that you go to the store and it's there and you buy it for like 10, 15 bucks. Not a big deal. Amiibo, they went ahead and they started on the tail end of Skylanders and in the Infinity line, and those games are no longer out there in the wild in the grand scheme of things, but they were extremely profitable and extremely popular with the children at that time. They were honestly really cool. You go ahead and you buy a figurine, you scan it, and it's in the game and you play with them. Now, the only Nintendo title that has somewhat of a similar aspect in regards to all of this is Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers, you scan your Amiibo and you essentially level him up as you go ahead and play the game, or you train your Amiibo in the grand scheme of things. Now, there's a couple of drawbacks with Amiibo, and one of those is essentially Nintendo's fault. The fact that the production of Amiibo are somewhat limited in the grand scheme of things, and once they're gone, for the most part, they are gone. Every once in a while, they'll go ahead and they'll reproduce whatever it is that is hot, or whatever titles are there. Sometimes they'll go ahead and they'll reproduce Amiibo that have been popular in the past, but overall, once they're gone, they're gone. That's it. This is something that is a ripe opportunity for scalpers to go ahead and come in and buy whatever stock is there at launch to go ahead and resell at 2, 3, 4, 500%, whatever it was that they purchased it at the time. And many collectors will go ahead and say, hey, I really want this. I'm willing to pay whatever it is that you're charging in order for me to get whatever product it is that you're selling. For the most part, because Amiibos in the past were a nice to have and not a must have in order to go ahead and play a game, it wasn't really a big deal. Wasn't really a big issue. But then Skyward Sword goes ahead and comes into play, and you start to question whether or not they're doing the right thing. A lot of people on the internet, they've gone ahead and they've said that people are freaking out, that people are overreacting in the grand scheme of things. But I pay attention to a lot of businesses, I pay attention to a lot of corporations, and I have a lot of stock that I have invested in, and I pay attention to a lot of investment and investor calls to see what companies are doing, how they're profiting, and how they're making money, not only to keep the consumer happy, but also to keep the investor happy. I see the act of Amiibo having a quality of life feature that is only accessible through having said Amiibo somewhat predatory. I see this as a tactic that is simply there to profit. Not only is this something that goes ahead and goes against everything that I've seen from Amiibos in the past, but it also sets precedent towards whatever Nintendo can and might do with Amiibo in the future. If this is something that is successful and it sells extremely well, then Nintendo will probably go ahead and replicate it because they see that there's profit in it. It makes sense, right? My issue with this is that because of the way that 2020 has come and the way that we've seen scalpers essentially go ahead and do whatever they can to go ahead and profit off of fans, it makes me question whether or not Nintendo is willing to go ahead and do the right thing and ensure that fans get their hands on whatever it is that they sell. Looking at this Amiibo for Skyward Sword, the way that the Hello Kitty Animal Crossing Amiibo cards launched at Target is somewhat worrisome. It kind of keeps me a little bit worried in the grand scheme of things because I'm not sure whether or not Nintendo can go ahead and do this properly. So we know the problem. We know that having an Amiibo figure that is $25 essentially on top of a $60 game, that's an $85 game if you want the full experience in the grand scheme of things. And yes, this is something that you don't have to buy. You have money, you do not have to buy this game at all. You don't have to buy the Amiibo if you don't want to. But as somebody that goes ahead and wants to go ahead and play this game and have a full experience, I'm somewhat obliged to a bit. I'm not going to go ahead and spend $25 on this Amiibo, but it does make me wonder whether or not it's worth it, whether or not I want to go ahead and buy it. It makes me question whether or not I'm making the right decision. I know for a fact that Onyx wants to go ahead and buy the base game as well as the Amiibo. But if this was a game that was coming from Ubisoft or Activision or EA, that all three of those companies, they're known for having predatory practices like this, where specific features, for example, having double XP in Assassin's Creed that is available to purchase afterwards if you want to go ahead and progress faster within the game, makes me wonder whether or not Nintendo wouldn't mind doing something like that in any other RPG game that is out there. It makes me wonder whether or not Nintendo is essentially copying what other companies are doing because it is profitable. And I've always seen Nintendo as, hey, we're going to go ahead and put quality first. We want to make the best gaming experience possible and worry about profiting second. I've always seen them as, we want to make sure that things are quality driven, not necessarily profitable. Does that make sense? Like, I've always seen them as a proposition of value versus profit. And this is something that I see as a tactic of making money. So I know that you might not agree with me. I know that there are people that are out there that might not agree with me, and that's fine. I totally get it, 110%. That's fine. It's your prerogative. You can do whatever you want with your money. But after the way that they've handled the 3D All-Stars release and how that was essentially put in a Nintendo vault, makes me question whether or not they're doing the right thing. So what do you guys think about Nintendo doing this? What are your thoughts on all of this? Is this something that Nintendo is essentially doing to be predatory, or is this just them selling another Amiibo and calling it a day? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like the video, thumbs up, and all that other stuff, and subscribe. Stay up to date. Till next time, guys. Deuces.
Hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more and stay up to date, subscribe, hit the little bell, and join our Discord.
If you want to support the channel, please check out our Patreon or hit the join button below. As always, thanks for your support and thanks for watching.